Good morning everyone, today we're checking out a brand new video from Loxton and Noggin about new evolutions for trade item Pokemon. Now, y'all probably don't remember, but a long time ago, he had actually done a video like this before and created a Pokemon that was called a Doncrete, like a play on concrete. I actually had made a pun, and that was one of my most viewed videos or whatever at the time. So here we are for more of it. Let's hop in.
Let's be real, trade evolutions in Pokemon don't need to happen anymore. They stick around for tradition's sake, but that's about it. I don't know anyone who truly likes them. Like, I can kind of get behind them from like a game design standpoint. Maybe it's kind of interesting in lore. Maybe you can do some fun things for the actual Pokemon designs, but no. No, it doesn't need to be a thing. A while ago, we fit all of the Pokemon who evolved via
Aha! And here we go. See? This is the video I was talking about.
Trade only into my Pokemon Legends Neo Ghetsis project by giving them new evolutions that don't require trading. And now we're gonna do the same, but for Pokemon who evolve via trade while holding specific items. Why do they need to be this complicated?
Oh, okay. That was a video of trade Pokemon. This is the one of trade items. Got it. I don't know why my brain, for some reason, just took those and just went fused them.
For some in-canon in this project reasoning, after the Cataclysm, most of these items were lost, so the Pokemon had to adapt in order to not need them anymore. Sure,
perfect.
We'll go with that. These Pokemon are Magmar, Electabuzz, Rhydon, Onix, Seizure, Clamperl, Dusknoir, Spritzy, and Swirly.
Dusknoir, come on now.
While a few other Pokemon were known to evolve this way as well, the Porygons stick around because, I mean, they would still fit in Neo-K. You know, futuristic cyberpunk city. Absolutely there's gonna be Porygon-Z's everywhere. Feebas had an item trade evolution only originally, but has since gotten out of that. And Slowpoke and Poliwhirl already have non-trade evolutions. Let's evolve Clamperl first, and finally be serious and calm down for a moment. That's better. Clamperl is based on a giant clam with a pearl inside, and oddly, its evolutions look nothing
Oh, you don't say.
like clams. Trading a Clamperl with a deep-sea tooth or scale will get you either Huntail or Gorbis, which are based on various deep-sea fish like gulper eels and oar or viper fish for Huntail, and Gorbis is a snipe eel, pipefish, or chimera. And both of these Pokemon are significantly lighter than Clamperl too, and that's another clue into what's actually going on with this evolution. Notice that Clamperl's face is on the actual pearl, not the clam body. That's no pearl, that's an egg, which hatches upon evolution, giving way to the new Mon. But now, without the power of trade evolution and the associated items, rather than the pearlescent egg hatching, it becomes one with the clam. This is Clam. A swole clam with many pearlescent bubbles.
Oh my god.
Water, psychic type. According to the Pokédex, Clamperl makes a single pearl during its lifetime. The pearl is said to amplify psychic power. When it evolves, it makes a mysterious pearl that amplifies psychic powers when it's held. Which is weird, because it, nor its evolutions are psychic type, though at least Gorbis learns a few psychic moves. So metaphysically speaking, pearls are a gemstone of inner wisdom, and it is said that wearing pearls can help enhance your intuition and psychic abilities. That's likely why Spoink, who carries a big pearl all the time, and its Evo Grumpig, who has a bunch of pearls, are psychic type. So now, as per its Dex entry, when it evolves it makes a mysterious pearl that amplifies psychic powers. Those psychic powers manifest within itself. Now, through several scrying eye bubbles. To scry is to look through a crystal ball, after all, and when it foams at the mouth with several bubbles like this, it resembles real clam eyes. Oh yeah, did you know that clams have eyes? Well, simple eyes, technically. They are very tiny and go all the way around its lips. Scallops in particular have up to 200 eyes. It's looking everywhere. It's like it's psychic. You get surrounded by bubbles. All those bubble eyes all around you as it blows hundreds of them your way, staring you down, sending psychic waves, scrambling your brain. Hence its name, Clamble. It also ambles around on those ample little feet. And its signature move, glad you asked, it's Scram Bubble. It's simple.
Ooh,
It is a psychic
okay.
type bubble beam, but with a high chance of causing confusion rather than of lowering speed. In the wild, it just kinda does this always to Pokemon who swim near it. Maybe they'll get confused and swim close enough for Clamble to snatch and eat it. And you see this arm
damn.
thing? It's so muscular and veiny.
That ain't no arm, that's a tongue.
It's a clam tongue, which clams use to, well, do almost everything. It's their main muscle, and Clamble can use it to strike anyone who gets close. It can learn plenty of punch moves. But for a non-blunt attack, we can get sharp
I like
with
it.
Scyther. Always having weapons at the ready like it definitely helps in a dystopian megacity, but food always tends to be scarce, especially for a bug that typically hides in especially tall grass to sneak up on its prey. It's now nowhere to be found. In order to better serve
I'm gonna guess the evolution becomes poison type because it's hiding out in trash.
5, it will have to find a new food source and maybe get smaller and sneakier, more compact. And you know one thing I always liked about Scyther? It's an insect with a reptilian-esque head, which it unfortunately loses with its regular trait evolutions, so now let's keep it a bit. This is Shearor. Notice that both of Scyther's
dog
evolution's names end with OR after a misspelled cutting implement. Shearor is smaller and sneakier, more compact, which gives it an easier time sneaking into air vents and up to snoozing people and Pokemon to steal their hair.
Wait,
There are reports
what?
all over Neo Kanto City of
It eats
people waking
hair?
up with missing chunks of hair, and it's all because this bug dark type puts its blades together to make scissors or shears and chop off hair to eat it. It's based on the Kamikiri, a small insectoid yokai who does exactly that.
Well,
Even
alright.
its beak is scissor-like to help with it, which is reflected in Shearor's own. And it has mandibles? Too? Why, yes,
Apparently.
like the barber ant. These ants get that name because they do the same thing. People would sometimes wake up to find that they or their pets are missing a chunk of hair. The roots are still there, though. The hair didn't fall out. Rather, it looks like someone took some electric shears and then left no trace of the hair. But it was the ants! And while there is no
Damn
concrete
you,
evidence,
ants!
the leading theory is that they take the hair back to their nest for structural support. Still though, rude, mean, dark. It's like that oh so fun and not at all mean-spirited prank of cutting a chunk of hair off of someone. Like, that's
Especially
too
the
mean,
back of
man.
the
That's
head.
not a prank. When it comes to combat, Shearor can use its shears for some devastating damage with moves like X-Scissor, Guillotine, and its new signature move, X-Cleave. A
Ooh.
dual bug dark type move the same way Flying Press works, and the Pokemon hit by it cannot heal the following turn. The
That's
damage
good.
is too deep and two-sided. How evil. It's like the horror trope of the sometimes little guy wielding big scissors or gardening shears. Ooh, he's gonna
Get out of
cause
here with
some
that.
harm to you with these seemingly innocent tools. Shearer. I also like the implication that because of the added mandibles on the sides of its long mouth, its name is essentially just it's saying shearers, but with a lisp almost. Shearer. But there
I
is
can see
one
that.
thing it can't
I
do
can
with
see
those
that.
special hands.
Share?
Game.
Share.
Yes, they are lovely indeed. Lovely like a luscious onsen. Onsen.
Oh, what?
Onsen. Onyx. Also gains the psychic type upon evolving now. Swapping
Wait,
out
why?
ground. This now is Onzen. So an onsen
you know what?
with an
I like-
S is a traditional Japanese hot spring which are typically surrounded by large rocks and boulders. Now, Onyx is
Ah.
a giant rampaging snake made out of boulders that bores huge holes into the landscape. Steelix and Onyx cause way too much destruction for such a densely populated megacity that itself is built upon layer of undercity. So the only Onyx that weren't kicked out
Layers.
or ground up for concrete were the most well-trained ones, the calmest ones. perhaps even the smallest ones. And then those were
What the
selectively
heck's
bred
that?
to become calmer and much smaller too. We could even say the selective breeding eventually led into a neo-onyx, seen here. It is almost exactly the same as regular onyx, only significantly smaller and much cleaner,
snake.
smoother, and mono-rock type. Joy. These onyx saw themselves employed at the few remaining hot springs in the city, and relaxed most of the time, like a spoiled house cat. This bred into them the potential for this new evolution, which it eventually gains. Calm and in a
Okay.
state of tranquility and zen, its edges smoothed out with the lapping and flowing waters. Deep in thought, it gained a few psychic abilities, and now holds itself straight upright, like the balancing rocks often seen around a Zen garden.
This is really
It even
peaceful.
likes to keep other rocks floating around itself just for fun. It's like a meditation focus for it. On-Zen is a being of high physical attack and special defense.
Really?
And it uses the move Zen
Well, I guess it is
Headbutt
stone.
almost like its signature move, especially given that its signature ability, Zen Body, raises the accuracy of all of its moves, to the point where Zen Headbutt goes from 90% accurate to 100.
Oh,
What a
very
relaxed
nice.
dude. I particularly like how its face resembles that of an elderly person, as typically old folks visit onsens the most frequently, perhaps reminiscing about the old kaiju movies they watched in their youth. Pokemon has
kaiju.
always had references to Godzilla and other kaiju monsters and tropes, and at its core, the genre is all about huge monsters that leave deep in the ocean or a hollow earth, and then they come ashore and wreak havoc on humanity. And seeing the way most kaiju are designed, don't you think Rhydon would fit right next to them? Big, upright, standing, rough and horned thing with stubby arms?
Actually, he isn't wrong.
Plus, a fun fact, Rhydon can learn rain dance and surf. Rhinos can swim, but it's also like a big kaiju causing a small tsunami. And all of that water leaving its huge body as it leaves the ocean, oh, it's like striking the ground as if it were rain. Like the Onyx,
still
Rhydon
cute.
were too big and destructive to be safe for Neo-K, so most weren't allowed in. Meanwhile, the mysterious red mist outside the city messed with them, and the only ones who could survive breathing it long term were those more adapted to life on the shore, leading eventually to a new evolution that prefers life
Whoa.
under the water, but can still come to land just fine. Rather than Rhyperior,
Oh, boy.
this is Rhyjewel.
Hold on, before we continue on with this, look at that thing. That thing has got the face of like some kind of movie monster, and I love it!
From Rhinoceros, Kaiju, Raiju, a mythical Japanese monster of lightning that takes many monstrous animal forms, and Jewel, a measurement of energy, especially electricity. You remember the
Love
old
it.
Pikachu, aim for the horn thing, and all that?
Everyone
Despite
does.
Rhydon's electric immunity, its lightning rod, like horn, is a weak point. But really, it's always had a penchant for electricity too, being able to learn moves like Thunder Punch, Thunder, and more. So now as
Oh, yeah?
Rhyjewel, it is rock electric type, but still has a penchant for water. It lives on the sea floor, drilling holes through boulders, reefs, and the bedrock itself in search of ores to eat and electrolytes to charge up on. The added
I
fins
like
along
it.
its back and forearms give it more dexterity and hydrodynamics for quick underwater thunder punches. And rather than Rhyperior's odd construction vest armor, Rhyjewel has what resembles a life jacket, one it can chemically inflate to rise to the water's surface at a moment's notice. It still has to
Oh,
breathe air after
nice.
all, though it can hold its breath for days. Its signature move is Turbine Beam, which it has to charge up for a turn first, like when Kaiju do the same exact thing, a big, long build-up for a huge energy beam attack!
You gotta love it. It's always awesome.
It spins its drill rapidly as it charges power, then launches a spinning electric beam from the horn. No frills, just a stupid amount of power. Well, okay, there are some frills. If the foe Rhyjewel
Oh.
is targeting tries to escape, a weaker form of the attack launches early. There is
okay.
no escape.
like Pursuit.
And also, Rhyjewel is big. Not like Dynamax big, but some of them can grow to be more than twice as tall as Rhyperior. There's plenty of room in the
You
sea.
big boy.
Plus, it's fitting of its kaiju roots. But for another electric type now, it's time we evolve Electabuzz, who always was a Thunder Oni wearing tiger skin,
What you
a
got?
common form taken by the Japanese god of thunder, Raijin. Though Electabuzz kind of loses that when evolving into Electivire. Now it's more of like a Yeti, Bigfoot, Namahage kind of thing with wires for tails. A change likely brought about by the item involved in its trait evolution.
The
So
Electrolyzer.
now, given free reign to evolve through the power of the rage-inducing red mist, it instead becomes Electaiko. Simply,
Okay.
electric taiko drum, which are traditional
Oh,
Japanese
very
drums
nice,
that
very
Raijin
nice.
is said to use to create the sound of thunder. And rather than surrounding them on, Electaiko's torso is the drum, which it beats with its huge fists the way a gorilla beats its chest. Doing
Huh.
so vibrates the
Hey,
membrane on
Rillaboom,
its
we got
chest,
you a
which
friend.
generates electricity, just like Belly Bolt, really. But Electaiko takes it to a whole new extreme, sometimes even drumming up thunderclouds all around it, which relates to its signature move, a non-damaging one, Belly Beat. So you know the move Belly Drum? The user beats its belly, which cuts its HP in half, but also maximizes its attack stat.
Yep.
Well, Belly Beat does the exact same thing, but with special attack. Like a war
Really now?
drum drumming up the troops or keeping their marches or rows in sync, Electaiko greatly increases its focus and power by keeping a rhythmic beat going on its gut. A
That's-
good double meaning of beat
Okay,
there.
I guess.
And also, very fitting of a mon so inspired by a thunder god.
Maximum thunder damage.
I guess electric type moves all special attack, aren't they? Well, I don't really know the difference myself.
Oh
I
hey,
always go
on
for
Firehead.
stab.
You know, Magmar is often considered like the counterpart Pokemon to Electabuzz, so let's cover it next. Sticking with the theme of making these particularly Japanese Kanto Pokemon even more Japanese, we'll take Magmar, who's widely considered to be ugly, especially when it evolves into Magmortar, and just exemplify its Japanese origins even more so. So in short, Magmar is like if you took a Karura, or Garuda, from Japanese or Hindi mythology respectively, and added a fire salamander and booby elements. Booby is in the
Okay.
bird, but also its forehead. That's why its name in Japanese is Boober. Karura themselves were ugly things, and related to fire themselves too, being fire breathers and all, but physically they were like human-bird hybrids. And then, looking at how it and
Very
its baby
toughish.
Evo Magby breathe their fire, it also resembles Japanese Hyotoko masks, which were used in stage plays and also were associated with fire breathing. For its new Evo, I wanted to incorporate all of these elements even more so, and add on another yokai that relates to the Karura, the Furaribi, which perfectly is even
Okay.
more bird-like and is notoriously ugly, having a twisted dog-like face. Look
That
at
is
this
kind of
thing.
dog-like.
Gross. It spews fire all over the place because it's gross and is upset by that.
Get it
And
out
that
of
is
here.
exactly how the exiled Magmar feel outside of Neo-K City, causing them to take on even more malignant attributes as they evolve into Magshaki. Shaki comes from
Actually,
traditional
that's not too
Japanese
bad.
for launcher or sometimes gun, but it's specifically used in their word for flamethrower, which is most important for us here. While
That's
Magmortar
actually not too
resembles a
bad.
mortar cannon, Magshaki's body is shaped like the tanks on Imperial Japanese flamethrowers during World War II. Its long neck is like the hoses, and the iron band around its mouth is like their nozzles. But it also gives Magshaki the face of that mask, and helps it spit its flames further than most fire-type Pokemon are capable of. But
I
like
actually
many
like this
real
one a lot.
flamethrowers, far does not equal accurate. Its signature move is Spitfire. Imagine a combo of Outrage and Lava Plume. Magshaki begins angrily spewing fire uncontrollably every which way like a fire hose let loose. But it's
Uh-oh.
actual fire, not water, and it's so loose and uncontrollable it can't stop for a random 2 to 3 turns. This damages everyone around it, and each hit has a chance to cause a burn. It's just spewing fire chaotically, like the Ferraribi does. Kinda rude, and I kinda wanna punch it, but at least it's not as ugly as Magmortar. That Pokemon
It's
is
actually
ugly
less
as
ugly.
sin, and deserves nothing more than being dragged into the underworld. Oh, here's a new Pokemon to do that now. Dusk Noir is no more. Without access to trade energy or a Reaper
Uh-oh.
Cloth, Dusclops lost its ability to evolve into this Grim Reaper
What you gonna do, Clops?
esque evolution. But what is Dusclops itself? Well, mostly it's a Chochin Obake, a paper lantern yokai that eats souls and often only has one eye.
It's a lancer?
Then mix that with another yokai, the Yamawaro, a kappa relative that also sometimes eats souls, and you get Dusclops. Granted, most folks in the Western world don't know about these yokai and instead say Dusclops is like a Greek Cyclops mixed with an Egyptian mummy, which actually that combo works really well too.
Yeah,
And you know what?
exactly.
I do really miss the skull motif from its first form, Duskull. And the whole deal with Cyclops is that the Greeks found elephant skulls at elephant graveyards and imagined them as Cyclops skulls. So how about this time, instead of leaning even more into the Japanese origins, we go significantly more
Let's
Western.
go Greek.
Yeah, let's go Egyptian. And just
Oh,
who is a super
okay.
cool Grim Reaper-esque god to the ancient Egyptians? That's right, Ammit. Specifically, Ammit means swallower of the dead.
Oh,
She loves
okay.
to eat the souls of those Osiris and Anubis deem unworthy of the underworld's afterlife. And plus, she's
Oh.
way more animal-y than most Egyptian gods. No human.
Well, yeah, it's commonly said to be made out of an hippo, leopard, and crocodile. Well, some big cat. I don't exactly remember which one.
Human in there at all. Instead, she is a lion hippopotamus with a crocodile head.
See?
Though
Big
sometimes
cat.
people forget about the hippo part because it is kind of just the butt. Weird. So here's a new Pokemon.
Hippo butt.
This is Duskduat. Duat from the name of the Egyptian netherworld. And ooh, we got the floating hands back from Dusclops. Only now they've got
Kept one.
claws and pads like lion paws, and the smoke coming from within its body is like a ghostly lion's mane. What a curious body shape, though. It's kind of like a canopic jar, which is where mummifiers would
is.
store the body's viscera during the mummification process. Only the Pokemon's body is spikier and weird, almost like a crocodile skull. As seen from above,
Oh!
with a single Cyclopsian eye in the snout.
Oh, fuck, that's clever! You don't see it until it's seen! Ho 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 ho! Sorry, peeking the mic, but I did not see that!
Foramen and all. It gives it quite a spooky hooded look, doesn't it? Out in the Badlands,
Love
like
it.
a lion, it preys on the many Pokemon who succumb to the red mist and begin to waste away. Duskduat can feel that weakness from miles away, so it lies dormant as it senses the weakening Pokemon slowly approaching it from that distance. And like a crocodile waiting in the river, when its prey gets close, it quickly reaches out and snatches them, or rather their soul. Particularly likes to prey upon
I love
younger,
this.
frailer Pokemon, and will even stalk some from time to time. It feeds on their fear like an appetizer. This whole mon is really quite dark, hence the new Ghost Dark typing. It hands out
Ooh.
curses like poisoned candy and razor blades on Halloween. The super common thing that always happens, of course.
Yeah,
I'm getting
apparently.
sidetracked. Mummies and cursed Egyptian tombs and canopic jars are like a whole horror genre. But really, when you think about it though, living cursed mummies and all that, they're just Egyptian zombies of the upper class. That's all.
He's not wrong.
But still, the idea of cursed tombs is a big one, especially when talking about Egyptian tombs. Duskduat has the Cursed Body ability, which has a 30% chance of disabling moves used against it, and it uses the move Curse, obviously, but it has a new cursory variant of the move as well. The move Canopic Curse uses Curse as its main inspiration. The user loses half of its max HP, and in exchange it places a curse on its opponent, who then loses a quarter of its max HP every turn.
Oh, damn.
Canopic Curse adds one more step to the end of that. When a cursed Pokemon loses HP, where does that HP go? Normally just into the ether.
It goes back to
but in being a
Duskduat.
Psychopump Canopic Jar itself, Duskduat reaches out and snatches it, pulling the HP into itself, healing 15% of its max HP every time its opponent takes curse damage. And
Oh,
visually,
shit.
rather than this curse mimicking the Japanese nailing a straw effigy to a tree cursing method, it instead raises its upper half, releasing its inner accursed smoke. This is akin to where a lot of sealed tomb-based curses come from. In the process of opening a tomb or even unsealing a sarcophagus itself, you let loose all sorts of dust clouds that have been settled for centuries. Inhaling that is, not good. So
Oh
you
yeah,
get
well obviously
sick,
not.
and people assume it's a curse!
Ain't no cause,
Let's
it's
go
just
ahead
bad
and
smoke.
back up to Kanto now. This is Seadra. Seadra
What
is
up,
very
Seadra?
simple. It is a seahorse or sea dragon. In Japanese mythology, it was even said that seahorses were young dragons, and if they managed to live long enough, they would become full-on real dragons. Hence, Kendra being water dragon type, and it's only coming into being after a Seadra is traded with a dragon scale. But now, Seadras in the sea have no hope of achieving this form, and have become much more aggressive thanks to the red mist settling in on the ocean.
He's
so
pissed.
now, once again, rather than taking it to a more Japanese dragon route, let's do what we did with Dusclops and go more western. Let's focus less on sea dragon and more on sea horse.
Wait, what?
I'm a horse. When it comes to water horses, two come to mind: the Kelpie from Scotland and the Hippocampus from Greece. Kelpies are mostly just black ghost horses that are wet, can run through water as if it weren't there, and have backwards feet. So,
Not just that, but it's also said that if you touch the horse, you get dragged to the bottom of the body of water with it and drown.
great, there's a Pokemon for that already. But
Oh,
focusing
hey,
on the
but you know.
Hippocampus is probably what we'd be doing here anyway, because of their fish butts, which already makes them more
Fish butt.
seahorse-like. Really, you can summarize the Hippocampus in 2 words: horse mermaid. Ba 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 ba, I'm a mermaid. And I mean, simply going to Google Images and typing in hippocampus, you get, the part of the brain that's named after the hippocampus because it's shaped like a seahorse. Simply going to Google Images and typing in hippocampus mythology, you get pretty much just a bunch of cool art of horse mermaids,
Yep.
lots of stereotypical merfolk and
Horse
aquatic
mermaid.
fantasy creature attributes just slapped on a horse. Though, in the original Greek context, they always had the twirly tails that seahorses are known for, just like Horsey and Seadra. So now, aggravated by the red mist, Seadra embraces its toxins further to help it fend off enemies encroaching on its territory.
Oh, it becomes a poison type?
It's not a fun fact, it's a stupid fact. Here are some Seadra Pokedex entries. Its fin tips leak poison. Touching the back fin causes numbness. While Seadra is raising its young, the spines on their backs secrete thicker and stronger poison. Despite these entries, it and Horsey join up with Umbreon in the "Our Pokedex entries talk about how poisonous we are, but we can't naturally learn any poison-type moves."
We have no poison to
Club.
use.
It's very silly. Fixing that now, this is the water poison type evolution. A war-loving Warsea. And I definitely don't need to explain the hippocampus aspects of it, but
Not
the
at all.
large round tail with its 2 sets of spiky fins are like the wheels of war chariots. The fins upon
Love
its
it.
head are like the frills on hoplite and Spartan warrior helmets,
Love
and
it.
its large, manly chest is just that. The poison
Just a
flows
manly
through its
chest.
frills and spikes so well they've become purple. And its hooves are spiky too, perfect for jabbing into its foes like the spears wielded by many Greek and Spartan warriors, with
That's
the
how you
bonus
do it.
effect of poisoning the stabbed one. Did you know that Kingdra's base stats are like incredibly even? Like, egad.
Wow,
Not so
that
as
is
a
even.
Warsea, though, who instead take the best defense is destroying your opponent before they can hit you approach. It's got very high speed
Correction, the saying is, the best defense is a good offense.
and attack, and the poison point ability, which has a chance to poison any who make contact with it. And its new move, which honestly I don't think should be a signature
Strike.
move, but it's just a move that doesn't exist yet, so I'm making it up, is called Venostrike.
I like it.
It's literally Venoshock, but physical. It itself has a chance of poisoning, but if the target is already poisoned, its attack power doubles. In the
Very
wild,
good.
this mon is known for aggressive hit-and-run tactics on any unwelcome Pokemon in its territory, charging by with a strike and then running away before it can be hit in retaliation. Then it will turn around and do it again. All while the poison takes hold on top of that. Very aggressive, which is completely
Okay, I like
the
this one a lot.
opposite
It
of our
gets
next
second place.
Pokemon. So, Swirlix has always been kinda icky and not really loved in the fandom. Like, it's cute, but,
Yawn.
you know, then it evolves from a cotton candy dog into like a French pastry dog, a Slurpuff, and it's... still kinda cute, but... well,
What can you
Swirlix's
even
new
do with
evolution
this?
is definitely going to have to still be a bit icky. But, rather than leave the cotton candy fur behind, it leans into it even more heavily. So modern cotton candy was invented by an evil dentist in Tennessee.
Wait, it was?
Tarnation 10-gallon hat. I'll market this to children at the fair, and I'll be rich. Howdy. I sure love taking advantage of poor folk. I reckon releasing this into the world will be a blessing. For me.
Now the U.S. South is
You.
one of the most overweight places on Earth. But boy, do they love their
Damn
sweet
you.
things at county fairs. And who could be more sweet than a sweet little dog? Oh, look at you. Woo, 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 woo. Oh, and look, now you're evolving.
Oh?
Oh, I mean, I get it, but...
No.
Southern
No.
hospitality and the trope of the Southern Belle. Who could be sweeter than that? Sweet talking everybody they ever did see. Oh Lord, they bless
Okay, now
every
he isn't
passerby
wrong.
with their sweet voice.
He's right.
Sweet Belle is as sweet can
Sweet Belle, and it's even based on like what you would call a person a sweetie belle. Oh my lord.
be
Okay.
in taste, smell,
Okay.
and personality, so long as they like your complexion. Being as fairy type as they can be, they absolutely despise steel and poison types. Dragons too, but they can take care of those varmints. And that's all I meant by complexion. In Neo Kanto, they basically just fill the role Slurpuff used to, helping pastry chefs and candy makers, though with such luxuries being a rarity these days, they more often find themselves helping detectives track down criminals and narcotics with their nose. Southern belles would be snitchy Karens these days, wouldn't they? Tarnation, I smell weeds. I'ma call the officers. Ma'am, it was just the young stunky down the road. Again.
Again.
Can you arrest my neighbor anyway? I'm sure they have some. The dog type. Quick! I need a palate cleanser after that. Why is there rockabilly music? A Spritzy? Oh no! Please! Spritzy is a little perfume bottle bird.
Oh, here we go.
Spritz. It's also got a little plague doctor mask because they resembled spooky crows, not
It's
just to scare
cute.
peasants away from their dirty selves, but also because the beak of the mask was filled with nice-smelling herbs and things to help counteract the smell of death. Normally, Spritzy evolves into Aromatisse, which is still part perfume bottle bird, but is now also a sort of can-can flamenco dancer who also resembles a powder puff for those poofy purse pom-pom things. High
Oh,
women's
that's what that
fashion
is?
stuff. But now, what's a girl like that doing in a place like this? Neo K is harsh and dystopian. Well, there aren't really any around here because trade evolution is gone, and Spritzy had to toughen up, and maybe this awakened some latent, more masculine genes in them, eh? So now this is
Whoa, what
aroma
the-
grease. A greaser, which stereotypically
Oh.
speaking were much like Aromatisse
It's the Fongs!
and many a
Love
male
it.
bird. They cared about their appearance quite
New
a
second
lot.
place.
But I can't stinking get Greaser Shia LaBeouf out of my head. Greasers always gotta make sure their pompadours were in check. After all, the nice-smelling hair grease was good, but it wasn't
Yeah.
perfect. And they gotta stay cool and tough-looking while fixing their hair, so bam! Switchblade combs. And now take a gander at this bird. It is the crested auklet. Not only do they fit the image of a cool greaser almost perfectly, but they have another big trick up their sleeve.
What
They
the?
smell really nice. What scientists were just going around smelling random birds? So the cool fact about them is that they
That
keep
was
the feathers
someone.
right behind their beaks.
I'm sorry, but it looks like these birds are coked out of their damn minds. They have done they have done all the coke, so we cannot get any.
Nice smelling to attract mates. The scent is said to smell of sweet citrus fruit, even though that's not in their diets. They secrete this scent and then ruffle it throughout their feathers. It's weird, but cool. A bird that smells like an orange. Also, grease rhymes with geese, and that's another bird, so bam, aroma grease. Fairy, dark type now. Gotta keep doing delinquent outlaw stuff to maintain that tough image just for the sake of it. And plus, as a pair, you could see Aroma Grease next to an Aromatisse, and it's just like the nice girl who fell for the bad boy trope and all
Very
that.
common.
And I like that a lot. It's fun. But, sorry I had to talk about those lines. especially last. Normally you're supposed to save the best for last, but we did the opposite instead. But actually,
Oh, don't
to be
worry about
honest,
it.
I don't quite get the hate for the Slurpuff and Aromatisse lines. Like, I can see why it's there, but they aren't, like, the worst, you know? Maybe? Well, if you
I
like
think it's more
discussing
like
the
hate, not
worst
hate.
Pokemon, check out this video next where I discuss my most hated Pokemon.
Alright everyone, now before we give out before we end off today's video, let me go ahead and give my top 5 of these brand new Pokevolutions. Let's see, number 1 we'll have to go first to Sea War, or however you pronounce it, War Sea. He gets first place. Aroma Grease can get second place, which we'll have to put Dusk Duat at third. I'll give the Magmar one 5th place, which will put 4th as the Raijin one. Alright everyone, that's going to be the end of today's video. I hope you all enjoyed this. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more. Link to the original will be in the description below. And let me know down in the comments below which of these Pokemon made your top 5 list. Till then everyone, this is Fox, signing out. Peace.